Right now, as you watch this video, there is a silent civil war being fought inside your bank account. On one side is the microbleed, the casual, unthinking $10 a day spent on lukewarm coffees, delivery app fees, and temporary conveniences. To your brain, $10 feels microscopic, so it quietly disintegrates into the background. On the other side is the allocator. An allocator takes that exact same pocket change and redirects it away from the consumer market, feeding it directly into a compounding engine. We are opening a simulation to observe the actual velocity of that capital. We are going to track the results of investing exactly $10 a day into a broad market index fund, specifically VOO, assuming a standard historical market return of 8% over a 40-year timeline. We are going to review the year-by-year timeline of how this small daily habit performs across a standard working career, tracing the slow start, the aggressive acceleration, and the final result. The mathematical reality of this simulation proves that your daily, seemingly trivial habits are doing one of two things. They are either quietly bleeding your future dry or mechanically guaranteeing your status as a millionaire. This chart breaks down the raw baseline mathematics of the first decade. Setting aside $10 every day means you are manually contributing exactly $3,650 out of pocket per year. By the end of year one, your total portfolio sits right around $3,800. The growth is slow and linear. This is the friction point where 90% of the middle class panics, abandons the strategy, and goes back to buying consumer items. But watch the shift at year 10. By this point, you have manually contributed $36,500. However, your portfolio balance has now grown past $53,000. Look at the gap between those two numbers. Over that first decade, compound interest has generated nearly $17,000 of entirely free wealth for your household while you were asleep. Surviving the initial decade of slow growth is the psychological price required to reach the phase where the mathematics finally takes over. That power becomes fully visible on this line graph right at the 2-decade mark. This is the phase of timeline compression, the point where your velocity of your money finally overtakes your human effort. At year 20, your out-of-pocket input sits at $73,000, but that daily habit has now snowballed into a total balance of over $168,000. This explosion is driven by dividend reinvestment. Your initial capital breeds financial workers, and those workers instantly breed more workers, executing an endless cycle of expansion without requiring a single second of your labor. By year 30, the math accelerates aggressively. Your total contribution of $109,500 has transformed into a massive $411,000 balance. You are no longer pushing a boulder up a hill. Over these 3 decades, the market generated over $300,000 of pure capital growth for free, effectively replacing your physical labor with an avalanche of passive wealth. Let's move the simulation to the absolute finish line. Year 40 represents the span of a standard working lifetime, and it is where the data reveals the full scale of the strategy. Look at this scale comparison. Your final out-of-pocket lifetime cost is $146,000, but because you allowed the timeline to run its programming, your final portfolio balance reaches a staggering $957,000. You are standing on the precipice of becoming a literal millionaire. This was funded entirely by the exact same pocket change that the middle class regularly burns on fast food and forgotten subscriptions. This is the same blueprint used to accumulate generational wealth, while those who ignore the math remain trapped working to fund their consumer liabilities. Achieving financial freedom does not require a massive salary. It requires an understanding of mechanical leverage and absolute consistency over time. This diagram illustrates a simple reality. You're already spending the money required to become a millionaire, but routing it to the wrong balance sheet. The system intercepts this flow, turning daily habits into corporate revenue before you ever build your freedom. To change this, you must remove human emotion from the equation. Set a structural rule on your smartphone, automating a daily $10 transfer into an index fund. Executing this single automated step redirects your capital. It transitions your identity from a consumer who feeds the engine to an allocator who owns the machine. The automated tools required to secure your future are available today. Use them to force your capital into the market and take absolute mechanical control of your financial timeline.